What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Corey, um, back again in the saddle with the man Deceptively Awesome. What's going on, bro?
Not much, brother. What's up?
Chilling, chilling, chilling. All right, man. So let's dive right into it. Um, a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on in the world of comic books. Um, where would you like to start? Would you like to start with what's hot, what's
Not?
possibly not, or whatever's in between?
Okay. Well, since we're in this discussion, we're going to talk about Shang-Chi,
Yeah,
The Flash, and Loki, of course. Let's do a sandwich. Let's do Marvel, DC, Marvel.
fair enough. Fair enough. So in that case, as we're diving into Marvel, Marvel is shaping out its universe. So it's been doing that um, when it comes to the TV universe has been kind of setting the tone, setting up the universe. I do have a question before we get into Shang-Chi. Do you
Okay.
feel that the Marvel TV universe um, has been doing more for Marvel than the actual movies leading up to it?
Um, I don't know. I can't really say, only because, I mean, everything that Marvel has done so far has made fans of people that were probably never going to be fans, never going to pick up a comic book. Now that people can pick up comic books, people are now. I never watched any of the Marvel TV shows, besides Netflix stuff like Luke Cage. I was watching, but now it's like I've watched. I'm watching Loki. I've watched WandaVision, Captain America, Winter Soldier. So it's like I think they're not doing more. It's just basically icing on the cake. Honestly, the cake is the Marvel movies, but the icing is just everything that we're getting. And of course, you can have the cake without icing, but icing makes the cake a lot better. So that's how I feel. That's how I feel about the TV shows and the movies. What about you?
Wow, you literally you said it just right. It's like the cake has already been made, and we're getting icing. It's like the way I look at
Yeah.
it, like the icing is already on the cake. We're just getting sprinkles. It's like all right. I mean, it's not going to change the way this cake tastes. It's going
Yeah.
to make it look a little better, if
Yeah.
anything. But it's not going to affect the
Mhm.
taste. It's just going to make me want more. At
It's
the
like
end of
each
the
it's
day.
like it's like each TV show is its own topping. You got WandaVision was the icing, you got Captain America, which was the sprinkles, and now you got the cherry on top, which is Loki. We go right into the movies. Like a little breakdown, right?
I love that. I love that.
Cake
That's dope.
specialist. And
So
it goes right
so
into it. So
right into it. So I think the Marvel stories, the Marvel TV stories have been very impactful for the
yeah.
overall universe.
Ooh, you're tired there, man. That's like the story time you that
Yeah,
baby life, huh?
I caught that dad nap. I caught that dad nap.
I know,
But
right?
but now like it's been. I feel as though that the TV universe has definitely filled in a lot of gaps that the movies can't really fill in because they're movies.
Yeah.
They're 2 and 3 hours and you're done. You have now 6 or 7 hours to really tell a story and to fill in a lot of the gaps. So as we're moving into Shang-Chi,
Yeah.
the new trailer that just dropped, we get a little bit more of the story of Shang-Chi,
Hmm.
but we're starting to see some eye
Interesting.
dropping,
Yeah.
like insanity, like
Yeah.
just the
Yeah.
powers that we're talking about. I love the rings, the way the rings are working. So they're not
Hmm.
just regular rings you put on your fingers; they're actual
Yeah.
rings. How
Oh, oh,
ruthless? Yeah,
I want to say something real quick before you continue. You
go
might
ahead.
need to apologize to Iron Man 3. I think you
Oh,
might need to apologize.
I have a speculation on that. I got a speculation on that.
Okay, but the reason why I say that is because I, given what we saw in the trailer, knowing that it's going to be with the 10 rings and everything like that, that we really didn't get in Iron Man 3, I think I'm now at the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm glad Marvel decided to say, you know what? Let's take a step back, because who knows what if they did the 10 rings how we all expected it to during that phase of Marvel Studio and how they were making the movies at the time. Who knows if that would have been like another Thor 2 situation? You know what I mean?
True,
They've
true, true.
refined their craft to now make me, who don't really know much about Shang-Chi, wants to look into it more. Now I'm excited about how they're going to go about the 10 rings. Like you said, it's not just the 10 rings, which they probably would have done in Iron Man 3, but they made it like almost like, especially with the technology that we've seen, it's believable for the rings and how they work. And I'm loving it. I love the trailer. So
I guarantee you, I'm not going to need to apologize for Iron Man 3. I think what's going to be the very first scene is we're going to see uh, Ben Kingsley's character, Thomas Slattery, whatever his name was. He's going to be brought to the Mandarin. That scene where you see the Mandarin sitting on his throne and the camera kind of pans in front of him. I bet you we're going to see his character. He's going to be brought in front of him. He's going to be like, he's going to be doing his stupid old thing, and then he's going to get up and he's going to kill him, like gruesomely, like whether we see it or we don't, but that's going to definitely happen. And once that happens, it's going to be like Marvel saying, "Yeah, we're sorry for that crap. So let's do this right." So I think that's what we're going to get.
You know what? I kind of agree with you on that. I think it's going to be either three things. Either it's going to be a scene like that. Either it's going to be a scene where there's multiple guys who are pretending to be him, where he does execute them all or something like that. And he's like, I'm the one true one. Or, which I really think is going to happen, they're not going to touch on that at all. We know that's where they did. I felt like the reason why is because this movie, Shang-Chi, and I know Marvel doesn't take things too serious, but Shang-Chi seems like it's going to take it in a more serious kind of approach to this character. Having him in there would, to me, it would. I think that scene would be great, but it might be like, all right, a little bit jokey because we know how the character was and all the other stuff, and then the one shot didn't make, it made things better, but the one shot was that, and I think the one shot was enough to say, all right, we messed up. Let's just move on with this. But I mean, who knows? You could be right. I wouldn't be. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
The way that they have been portraying the father, and they have been setting up who the father is. He looks like the type of guy, like just the way he treated his son up until now, just gave him bits and pieces of the story that, to the point that his son does not want to even. He doesn't want to be a part of this empire. He doesn't want to carry on the legacy because he sees that gruesomeness. That scene in the trailers where I think they're in a police station and you see the father and this one guy, the guy's on the ground, and then the father takes his rings and just, does that shot. And it's just like, and the son's just like, I think we're gonna get that tone that we're not. This ain't no joking film. This is not a film about. I feel as though they have to show that just to show fans like, this is not. This is just to bury it, and I think that's what we're gonna get.
Okay.
But let's talk about the real meat and potatoes of this film of the trailer. There was two parts. Now, when he was underwater, there was a dragon. Now they're saying that this is not the dragon that is associated with Shang-Chi and with the Mandarin and to an extent Iron Man. This is a different dragon, and there's a Lego set. Let me see if I have it close by. I don't. But there was a Lego set that has the actual dragon. It's a white and red dragon and stuff like that, which it's pretty cool. What do you think about the introduction of mythical dragons now coming to the MCU?
I think honestly, seeing the scene, it was kind of like a new flavor, right? We have realistic approach, then you have the cosmic stuff that they're starting to do. And they got the magic, which I wouldn't liken the magic to be mystical. but now you have the magic approach, which also gives the whole what they're doing in Loki too. You know what I mean? With the mystical stuff, kind of like in Loki, and then the mystical stuff we kind of saw in WandaVision and all that stuff. So I think now we're going through a new, like a new, yeah, it's like a new flavor they're gonna add on to it. It's like this the spirit realm or stuff like that of things and stuff like that. I mean, we probably had them seen it sprinkled like in Doctor Strange and other areas, but now to see it like its own world that might be explored through this character and then other characters that might come in, it's kind of like, wow, it's a new thing now, a new element to what Marvel's doing, you know?
Hmm. I agree. I agree.
Mhm.
I think this story is going to be really, it's going to be also connected to an extent with the Doctor Strange universe as well. Um,
Mhm.
you know, just we'll get to that part and we'll get to that
Okay.
confirmation in just a sec. But I thought it
Yeah.
was I was trying to see how would they make sense of it, because in the comic books, the Mandarin is has alien technology that
Yeah.
allows his rings to do these super cool stuff. Um,
Mhm.
so you know that's just where we are. You know,
Mhm.
and I thought that they could have still told that story in a way, because we've been introduced to aliens, we've been
Mhm.
introduced to that type of technology. But then again, at the same time, I think you're going to need to show more layers of the universe and show
Yeah.
more things out there than just the three, you know, magic, aliens, and I guess
That's the
space
cosmos.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also too, I think like I don't know if they're gonna do like they're gonna show that maybe the original 10 rings where it was rings and then maybe went into bracelets or it was always bracelets, but I kind of like the feel that it is something that they've always had and not something that was done by the Chitauri that came in 2012, or it's something like I got that feel from Black Panther. You know, Black Panther had like this own set of technology that was like
Mm,
amazing
mm,
even for at its time, and it was completely irrelevant from the invasion. You know what I mean? So I kind of want to see that approach. It don't necessarily have to be alien at this point. I think it could be some other forms, or it could be. I don't think it's going to be have anything to do with the stones or anything like that, but it could be something.
right.
It could be something with vibranium because they look like vibranium bracelets to me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Especially the way that it fits its user. So it's like anybody could wear it. You can be a 600 plus pound guy, and the bracelet will fit to your skin, to your body size, or you could be 100-pound person, and the bracelet fits to your body size. So I
so
think it could be vibranium technology that we see. You know, a lot of the things that the manipulation that we saw in the trailer that the bracelets can do kind of gave me the whole vibe of like Black Panther in a way. You know what I mean? How the vibranium worked then, or even Iron Man's suit and stuff like that. So
so so let's get a little deeper. So the last part of this trailer is what everybody's talking about. They're talking
yeah,
about Abomination and what it looks like could be Wong from Doctor
yeah,
Strange. Um,
mm-hmm.
and that brief fight. So when I saw that, my jaw dropped. I was like,
So yeah,
we knew he was alive based on based on those Marvel shorts, the one
mm-hmm.
shots. We knew he was alive. We knew that he was captive somewhere. It
Mm-hmm.
made sense that he was just like, you know, he was not something that could be destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
but something that could be used in the future.
Yeah,
It's been it's been almost 13 years since we've seen this character,
mm-hmm.
since the Incredible Hulk movie. What was your immediate reaction seeing the Abomination as quick as it was? And I know we probably saw a whole bunch of other people talk about it, and even people
Yeah.
captured, screenshot it, and everything. What was your
No,
thoughts on that?
I didn't see it when I first saw the trailer.
It
It
goes
just
by like that.
it came by, but I didn't had no idea. I didn't see
Hmm.
nothing from no YouTube, no thumbnail, nothing. You know, so kudos for creators for not putting it in the thumbnail. But when I saw it, my initial reaction was, kudos to Marvel again, man. Like using an old character that we haven't seen, and for the excitement of Abomination, period, goes to show that I know Incredible Hulk gets a little bit of slack, but Incredible Hulk to me was a really good movie, especially for its time. Not done by mainly the studio that we've come to love and accept, like the movie that they've been making. So seeing them put Abomination in the movie, I'm sure he's gonna have a minor role. This might be the only time we really see him. It might be a bigger story to why he's there, but just to see him, my initial reaction was like, man, I'm just like, this universe is so big that we don't even need to. This character, can you imagine that they had this character in this scene for like 5 seconds? We know how he came to be. We know all his backstory already. Can you imagine how big the universe is for us to know a character like that and just kind of just know who he is? You know what I mean? We don't need to do. You don't need to know origin, nothing. You don't need to be a main villain in the story, nothing. But we see that this character is there. We know exactly who he is. That just goes to show, like, when you build a universe and you take your time the way they've done it, it's like you can't go wrong. You can throw with anyone at that point. You know what I mean? So, again, I mean, I'm excited. I'm shaking the phone and everything like that. But right? But nah, it was
I was gonna say it was a blur. When I first saw it, it was a blur. I was like, oh wow, they got some big monster in there. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then I went back and I checked it out again, and I was like, wait a minute. Then I started looking online, and then I saw they did his capture, and they had his face with the fins, the fin ears. I was like, you know what? The Abomination that we had the first time was when Marvel was still shaping out his universe, still trying to understand his universe, and they've earned a lot of grace because of all the work that they put in to build in their universe. That those earlier films, we can forgive those earlier films because they were just starting off.
Yeah.
But for them to take a character like that, place it in this scene, in just that scene alone, immediately you have people now more interested in the film just to see what that scene is about. And that could be one of two things. That could be that just, like we were saying before, it's already a baked cake. It's already a cake. We're just adding like sprinkles and stuff like that to it. We're already we're going to see the cake. We're going to eat the cake. So adding those sprinkles don't really help. But some people was like, yeah, you know what? Vanilla cake, I'm not too into vanilla cake. But then when they see like, oh, you sprinkling some Oreo sprinkles on it, now I'm gonna go check. Now I'm definitely gonna go check it out. So you might even grab people in that as well.
Yeah, and those older movies were treasures. I mean, they were the foundation to what we have today. So
absolutely,
I mean, they can't go overlooked. I'm just floored that they can just put him in there, and they could always explain his new look if they even touch on it. I mean, it's been years. Who knows what the serum and all that stuff that he did would do to his body years later? So I mean, it's like you don't even have to. There's so much avenues they can take, and so much things that are just set up easy for them at this point. So,
but then the other story is like, why are they facing off against one of the wizards? Why are they facing off against one of those that protect the sanctums? At this point, we still don't even know. We don't know where in time this movie is in, and I'm surprised that nobody really talked about it because they haven't really hinted as to when this movie takes place. They don't mention any other Marvel character in this movie to say, well, okay, this takes place after the blip. This takes place before the blip. What if this took place right after Iron Man 4? I'm sorry, Iron Man 3. What if this takes place right then and there? So we don't even know what's going on. And who knows? Who knows where this takes place?
Yeah. I think it wouldn't be. I don't know, because that's actually a good point. You know what I mean? Because I don't know whether it'd be wise to do it after the blip, because I mean, a lot of stuff that we see is kind of like this all happened after the blip. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. A lot of like, or it could happen during the blip. It could happen maybe before, but you're right. I mean, yeah, nobody has talked about that when this is happening.
And it'll be kind of weird that even if it's during the blip, that how come this entire civilization and this entire cast of characters were not affected by the blip? You know, how
Yeah.
come none of them disappeared? You know, even if they were to do something like, you know, even if everything took place conjuncturally with, you know, everything that was going on in Infinity War, you know, and then as soon as, you know, Shang-Chi, you know, realizes his powers and he gains his powers and everything like that, he's blipped away. And what if that was
I,
the end of the movie?
I
You know
don't
what I'm
think so.
saying?
I don't think they'll do that. Only because they did that in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I think it
Right.
fit then. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And so I don't think that I think, especially with like the train, the scene with the train, it looks like fully functional, operational. So unless but also to a point in Captain America: Winter Soldier, the TV show, they did make it sound like the world was operational during the blip.
That's
You
true.
know, so
That's true.
this could be happening during that 5 year blip where things are still operational, but you only have half of the population there, and who knows what characters were affected really, you know what I mean, by the blip. I don't know. I think chances are it's going to happen after, because I think that Marvel probably is going to start moving away from the blip. I mean,
Okay.
now that they're going into a new phase, they probably want to move away from it now, because I was like the old story. They want to get into Kang the Conqueror or whatever else they're going to be doing. So I
Mhm.
don't think always referring to the blip or always using the Infinity Stones
As a
is
crutch.
going to be like is going to be a crutch. Yeah, you know what I mean. I think
Right.
Loki
Right.
was like the drawer scene was telling us we're not using this anymore. We did this. It was epic. Now we're going to move on to more things we got planned.
Okay.
So I really do think they should move away. It could happen years after the blip. This could set where we are now in the universe, because
Mm,
because
that's true.
Spider-Man did happen after. So this could be like 5 years after that. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
Or
That's
maybe
true.
a year or two after that. So um,
That's good.
that's a good point.
That's good speculation. See, that's what I like because you know we don't know,
You don't know, yeah.
and it would make sense that you know what if during the time of the blip this was a chance for the Mandarin to kind of rise into power, you know,
That too, yeah.
because you know there's no Avengers, there's no people that will be that'll be powerful enough to kind of stand in his way. So maybe he was just lying and waiting for the opportunity to present itself for them to seize control of the world and stuff like that, so to speak. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Wouldn't that be? Wouldn't that? We go
no,
ahead.
no, go ahead. What are you saying?
I was about to say, wouldn't it be funny if one of the fight scenes is Shang-Chi and his father fighting, and all of a sudden his father just disappears, and he's like, huh? He picked up the rings and put them on. That's kind of like the end of the movie.
Do, do,
Yeah,
do.
and that's it. Yeah, and like he
Credits.
sees like people getting blipped away, and he's just like, oh, all right, well, that took care of itself. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I guess we did it.
because we did it. Yeah.
I was gonna mention something. Hold on. Um, oh man. Dang, I just had it too. Um, when you're thinking about dang, I just forgot it, and I just forgot. I hate that. I hate when that happens. But it
I know
make,
it's probably gonna come back.
but that makes sense though. That makes sense if
Mhm.
that was to happen too. But I do like your approach and your opinion on it to where this could have took place in between the blip. This could take place way after the blip. Because you know, in the series of Loki, we have been traveling to different parts in time, 2050,
Mhm.
2077. You know, so
Yeah.
there's nothing that says
It,
Shang-Chi has to be a part of the Marvel universe, where the heroes portion of the
mhm.
universe. So
Yeah.
you know, we could that too can be considered.
Yeah. So,
All right,
um,
yeah, go ahead. You have another
I was
thought?
gonna say, what are other points that you liked in the trailer? I guess maybe before we move on or whatever. Uh,
Um, I love where they're going with this with the fighting choreography. I
yeah.
feel as though that this is the movie that has to be, and you know they have the directors from The Matrix.
Mm,
That's actually that did the film. So we're going to get some good kung fu and good hand to hand fight choreography in this film. I think
yeah.
the only movie that really had something like that was, Winter Soldier, Captain America, Winter Soldier. I think that hand-to-hand combat was really good, and I think we're going to get something along those lines again. I think we're going to get something along those borders again, and I'm looking forward to that. So that was one thing I noticed.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing with the backstory. What they're going for. I know they're going to do a couple flashbacks, but I think you kind of need it at this point. So I want to see like how you learn to fight. What fighting style that they do have.
Right.
Is it by tribe or what happens? You know what I mean? So, and I like it's contained. It's a self-contained story. It's not like world ending. It's not like a bigger picture story. It's just kind of like this is what this character is doing, which I like. I like when Marvel kind of take those breaks and have like just simple skirmishes that's happening within the person's life. So
True.
yeah.
All right. Let's move on. But before we move on, let me take a quick break, real quick, because my throat is drying up. Give me 2 seconds. But I want you, Travis, to discuss why you like Iron Man 3 over Thor 2.
Okay. All right. So I'm talking to the viewers now. All right, cool.
Indeed.
All right. So this is a long-winded debate between my brother and I about which, to me, I like to call maybe the bottom of the barrel Marvel movies. Now, obviously, Marvel hasn't created anything that's like overtly terrible. We do have our movies that are not cared for. Like, I think Ant-Man, the first one, wasn't really stellar, and some people didn't like Age of Ultron. But I think overall, Marvel has been pretty good. I mean, I think the lowest movie, in my opinion, is Thor 2, which I think I would consider that to be like a C, a C minus. You know what I mean? Like, but now, obviously, with Loki, and obviously with the things that came afterwards, it's like, all right, I do have a more of appreciation for Thor 2, but let's be honest, Thor 2 was just terrible. like that's the only Marvel proper that I slept through parts of it. You know what I mean? I had to go back and watch it some other time to kind of fill in the gaps that I slept through. But yeah, I think that Thor 2 is worse than Iron Man 3 because Iron Man 3 at least wasn't boring. Yeah, the story was not the greatest. The thing with Pepper at the end was just stupid. You know what I mean? Especially kind of do things now. It's like looking into hindsight, it's stupid. It's kind of ridiculous. But Thor 2 is just boring. Like I think that's the problem I have with Thor 2 is that it's boring. And I think the things with Jane, with just everything was just kind of, I don't know. I felt like what we see in the Reality Stone, we see what it can do after the fact, and what we saw in Thor 2 doesn't really compare. You know what I mean? They could have used it better, in my opinion. But I guess, like we discussed, Marvel was still figuring out its way. It was still trying to find its way on how they were going to do things. I mean, we saw the stones used in certain ways at that point, and I think it was really Thanos who really made us see how the stones could be used. So just to kind of rehash everything I just said, Corey, the reason why I like Thor 2 over what?
No. Don't rehash it. I'll go back and I'll check it out.
All right, cool. All right. So that's my reason why I like Iron Man 3 over Thor 2. So
all right, let's move on. Let's get to that part of the sandwich that we might hate. Flash. The Flash movie.
The avocado, in my opinion. I know I'm gonna get people hating. They love avocado. I cannot stand avocado. It tastes like nothing, and that's just what it is.
It's like mush.
It's just mush. Yeah, literally, it's mush. And I hate seeing babies eat it too. I just absolutely hate when people feed their babies avocado. It's great for the texture and stuff and getting their mouth going, but I'm like, poor child. Yeah. That face the always make, man.
They're just like, what is this?
It's like, it's not like an orange. It's not a.
Why are you putting vomit? Back in my mouth?
Literally. Guacamole rarely gets a pass from me, but avocado, I just can't stomach it.
Well, that's me with lettuce in a sandwich. You
Yeah.
put lettuce in a sandwich, it's ruined. It's ruined for me.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
reheated.
I don't know if you remember, but that last time we went on a family cruise, me and you and the rest of the family, mom, dad, and all of them, I had a sandwich with lettuce in it, and I ate it, and I was sick the next day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then when I got off the cruise, I got I got worse. I got like I was in
Yeah.
like the hospital and everything like that, and it was
All
all
because
because
of
of
the
those
lettuce.
all because of the lettuce. Because they told me,
Jeez.
they said if lettuce is not washed properly from you,
Yeah.
then it's like that's it. You're gonna just get in all those bacteria and it's over for you. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Jeez.
okay, well, there it is. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's get
Right.
to the lettuce and avocado of the sandwich. Um,
Yeah.
the Flash movie.
Yeah.
Let's paint this picture. Flash was supposed to come out in 2018. The latest, I believe. It's been delays after delays. There was a time that no director was attached to it. Like maybe like I want to say like 3 or 4 directors in. Now they finally have a director they've nailed down, but 2 or 3 ago, directors were dropping like flies. First, Michael Keaton was attached to it. Then he said he wasn't attached to it. Now he's attached to it. It's just utter madness leading up to this Flash movie. And I for one I'm past a Flash movie. I would have wanted to see in a Flash movie that took place right after BVS. Once BVS came out, that scene that didn't make any sense to a lot of people. I mean, I can't deny it. I knew what it meant. Okay, it's Flash. I don't know why he's appearing as a dream, which makes no sense. He should have just been there.
Yeah.
He should have just been
Yeah.
there. It should have
Yeah.
just been like,
Yeah.
he wakes up, he's just like, oh my gosh, that was a horrific nightmare about a future that where
Yeah.
Superman has gone crazy, and then boom, Flash just appears like, am I too soon? That whole crap. That should have been real instead of him disappearing and
Yeah.
then Batman waking up. I was like,
Did he wake up twice in
yes.
the movie? Like,
He woke up twice. I was like, oh, they
yeah,
finished. They finished
yeah. They didn't have hindsight for that one. They didn't
at
have
all.
hindsight for that one because
At
literally
all.
in the Snyder cut, they kind of had that outfit that he was wearing, so he did go back
Right.
in time. So why make it a dream?
It
Yeah.
was
So
so
you're
stupid.
absolutely right. That was
That was
dumb.
so stupid.
That was really
But
dumb.
this is what they're doing. So now when it comes to this, movie, I don't know where they're going. I don't know what's happening. I don't even know what's the purpose of
Mm,
him doing what he's about to do.
mm,
So a lot of people are saying like, all right, he's gonna go back in time, and it's gonna be set up like the paradox. So he goes back in time to save his mother. By saving his mother, he then creates an alternate reality where
mm.
Bruce Wayne is dead and Thomas Wayne is alive. And the Shazam kids are there, and Wonder Woman and Aquaman are about to wage war. So that's the story of the paradox, of the Flashpoint paradox. Um,
Yeah.
Granted, they can still tell that story because they still have the two actors that play those two main characters, so they can still tell that story. Um, but now they have Michael Keaton as the 1989 Batman appearing in this movie,
Yeah.
and now they have which everybody's losing their mind for. Which I'm like, okay, Supergirl is in
Mm,
this movie, and she has the outfit and everything very comic accurate and everything like that. I'm just
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that meme of President Obama, like
Yeah, like what's everybody? What's the deal?
like what
What's
what's
going
so
on? Yeah,
like I don't get I get it. DC literally has nothing coming down the pike, so any little thing that they can grab onto, and it's so weird because the Snyder fans are praising this scene along with the DC fans, but this movie is supposed to destroy the Snyderverse by going and wiping
yeah,
out everything that took place.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if DC fans really know what they want from this movie. I don't know if this movie knows what it wants from this movie. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, what do you think?
I just think that I just think, like you said, a Flash movie at this point is just a terrible idea.
Mhm.
Like it's like really the movie should be maybe 2 minutes long where you see the Flash. He's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go back in time and just reverse everything back and go back to Man of Steel and then start over from there.
Boom.
Because Man of Steel was a great start. I think it might have been great in people's eyes, but I think it was a good direction for the character and for the universe, even the tone. I loved everything about Man of Steel.
Right.
But with this Flash movie, number there's so many things that I think people are not realizing have to kind of be there in order for this Flash movie to work, and other things that it implies, right? Because now I could be wrong. Was the Michael Keaton's version of Batman's the one where he says this is why Superman works alone? Is that his version, or is that
Hmm. That's a good question.
Yeah,
Don't
I don't
know.
know.
I think that was
I
Val
don't remember.
Kilmer. I think that was Val Kilmer, but I'm not 100%. I mean, it was 1989,
Yeah,
so I have no
exactly.
idea.
But my thing is, if that is that Batman, then that means then that Superman does exist in that universe, then, right? Because I mean, he name dropped him there. So then,
That's true.
well, at first something that we seemed as a joke, now it's canon. So are you guys going to address that or not? What about the Robin from the movie? Are you going to address that or not? You know what I mean? Um, what about all the baddies? Are you going to kind of okay? All right, let's move past that. That's just one issue, but that's nothing that's going to make or break the movie. Now,
Hold on. Let's stay on that issue for a second. Now, the fact that Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman, you are now saying because now you have to make sense of the fact that there were four other Batmans in between: Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, and the technically the current Batman, which was Ben Affleck. Or if we're thinking that's part of the universe too, Robert Pattinson, he's the fifth. So you have five different Batmans in between where Michael Keaton first became was the first Batman, which I can understand why they would want to bring back the first Batman that ever came to the big screen.
yeah,
But then that would mean, all right, are those other five part of different universes? Because they made it seem like, and I think if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the story threads from Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Michael Keaton were all in the same story thread. If
mm.
I'm not mistaken, so these are
It
the
is played by
same. These are
different
technically
Batman.
the same Batmans.
Oh, okay.
Yo, DC
So
is
yeah, so are you going to address that?
absolute mess, yo.
And then when it comes to just like all the names you mentioned that are part of Flashpoint movie or Paradox and stuff like that. I mean, do you really care about any of those characters really? You know what I mean? Like if I was to see more with Aquaman and Wonder Woman together in the future, seeing them fighting now in another universe would tug at the heartstrings. Is it? I mean, who's gonna care? In my opinion, who's gonna care? You know, and it's the Flash. Or this is the thing that bothers me like above all, right? Which one of the cuts are canon? Is it the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League canon or the Snyder cut? Is that canon? Now we
They
know legally or like how we want to call it, the Joss Whedon is technically the canon per se, but we all know fans kind of dictate a little bit in a sense what's really canon to the fans. You know what I mean?
uh, uh,
So
the only thing I would say to that is that the directors themselves. So Joss Whedon hasn't said anything because it's not Joss Whedon's Justice League.
yeah,
It's DC's Justice League. So DC has said that this is canon. Zack Snyder has said that the DC's official release of this movie is canon. His movie is just showing his vision of it, but it's not
yeah,
canon. So
yeah. So then like
technically, it's not canon.
good. So then, for the love of everything, because you know how much I hate the Snyder cut, and the Snyder cut, and this is to like the Snyder fans, not DC fans or Warner Bros. Fans, but the Snyder fans.
Mhm.
If you use the Snyder Cut as the official canon in your mind, like that's the movie that should have been. The Flash went back. First of all, he said he can't go back in time without any repercussions, and he goes back in time in that movie twice. So to have him now only go back in time now, why didn't he go back in time all the other times he could have went back in time and stuff like that? So it's kind of like, stop talking about that movie. Let's move on from it. It was terrible. He shoehorned everything in there for reasons that were understandable in my opinion, because we're never going to see his vision. So I get why you. If look, man, if somebody says you got $1 million for one day, I mean, imagine what you're going to do in that one day. You know what I'm saying? So I completely understand why he did it, but it's not canon. Now, if we use the Josh's cut, still, in my opinion, this Flash doesn't work. You know what I mean? His quirkiness, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Especially for this, the tone, it doesn't work. And I just feel like nothing in this movie is going to work in a sense of what it could have been had it had a more cohesive story, or just a better, just everything, better character development, better everything. You know, like I don't care that Flash want to go back and save his mom. I don't care. It's not like we've seen that before in some other movie. It's not like it's Thor saying I'm gonna go back in time to save my mom. It's not like that. You know what I mean? It's none of those things. It's literally
and even when Thor had a chance to do that, he still didn't do it. His mother told him not to
do it. Exactly.
So,
you know.
So here's my whole thing with Flash. Now, Flash is my favorite DC character. That's my favorite DC character. One of my favorite, next to Green Lantern. I love the Flash story. I love how he becomes Flash. We don't know how this Flash becomes Flash. We have no idea, because in BVS they showed him on a surveillance camera where he looked relatively younger with longer hair, and he had his powers. Now he wasn't working at Star Labs. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. So now we have to speculate that he received his powers miraculously.
Well, no, he did say in the Josh's cut, since that's the cut that is canon. Let me see. He did say the Cyborg were the accidents, right? So we know that it was an accident that happened. But now, to your point though, now we've seen what the Flash can do. Basically, we've seen that. Now we got to go through an origin story to see how he got his power through the accident. Mm-hmm. I mean,
working backwards.
You're working backwards. Because you're working backwards.
You literally show like for example, Aquaman. I think the approach that they did with Aquaman makes a little bit more sense, because you showed him, you know, there's legends about this you know, person in the sea, guy in the sea, whatever, and then he exposes him, and then, you know, we see that, oh wow, he has these powers, you know, he's doing all these cool things, and then, you know, you kind of tell parts of his story, his origin in his movie. I think that's a good approach on how to do that.
Yeah.
When it comes to Flash, though, now Flash is a different story, because we know his story as a mistake happened or an accident happened in Star Labs, which granted him this power of super speed, right? They have to make that make sense. At the end of the Justice League, he gets a job in a police station. So he's still not close to Star Labs. So, you know, now we have to tell a totally different story of how he got his powers. And on top of that, we're now putting different elements, and they're showing different elements of, oh, okay, well, you know, here's Supergirl in this movie. Here's the old Batman in this movie. Why? Like, what story are we getting?
So
is Reverse Flash going to be in this movie? You know, and I think I think they're in a hole that is going to be impossible for them to dig out, only because Grant Gustin has become the definitive Flash in mainstream media. He is the definitive Flash. So even when they did the crossover and you saw Grant Gustin standing right next to Ezra Miller looked like a clown compared to him.
Yeah, a lot
because he just looked weird. Like I don't want to see you in the role as you know. I like, you look too awkward. Your face looked weird. And then he was like, I told Cyborg this can happen. When did this conversation happen? You know, so now you gotta make that make sense too, because you just can't throw those lines in there and not, like, and not pay it off.
Yeah. And that's what it seems like, because now, are they even going to tell origin story with him? You know what I mean? Like, I think an origin story would be nice to see. And then also, they rely too much on flashbacks. Wonder Woman's first movie was a big flashback.
It was.
The whole movie was a flashback.
The whole movie was flashback.
So it was a flashback. So now you're telling me again, this movie is like a flashback, flash forward kind of situation, or we'll have moments where he's looking at a picture and he's gonna flash back to when he got his powers, and then now is back in the future, and now he's gonna go back in time. Or you're gonna show like a lot of things could have been already said. The same way I felt about Abomination in the trailer. We saw Abomination, we saw the whole movie with him. Good. In all the movies that they've had, if they really were planning to do the universe that we thought they were going to do, all those beats could have been already strung in the other movies. So that way we don't have to revisit certain things. But like you said, they got to work backwards now. So now that makes me a little bit less excited for the movie. So
okay. Yeah, that's the thing. This movie is very confusing, because I feel as though that Warner Brothers and DC, they're trying to move away from the Snyder universe and the Snyder kind of stigma. But the unfortunate thing is that you still have Gal Gadot, you still have Jason Momoa as these characters that were a part of this universe. So, and they're saying that, Flash is supposed to be the movie that's going to introduce the multiverse theory. Okay, if that's where you guys are going.
It's not earned. Like, Marvel earned to do the multiverse now. They earned it. It's not earned with DC. You just can't do that. I'm sorry. Like, if you were gonna do that, you should have done it from the very beginning. That should have been what you did from the very start. The first movie should have been nothing but multiverse things. Then I would have been like, okay, you know what I mean? But no, you didn't earn it. And now you want to throw this whole multiverse thing in there. We barely got to see this Batman do anything. Now you're gonna bring in another Batman, and another Batman's having a movie? Like, what in the world is going on? Like, what are you doing?
Your reaction was exactly the reaction I was going to do. Like, it's not earned. Like, someone, I remember I saw this meme, and it was like, Marvel, it said Marvel's talking about the multiverse and everything like that. They were like, don't forget who did it first. And they showed that crossover from the CW. I was like, yeah, but nobody cares. Like, nobody cared about that crossover. There was nothing significant about that crossover, because they didn't talk about it in any other movies, because they're not there yet. Like, they could barely get through a movie that talks about a supervillain like Darkseid. They didn't even do that properly. They had Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Who knows who even cares who Steppenwolf is? Like, if DC was going, like, and we say, and you and me, Travis, we said this, time and time again. If DC wanted to do this smart, if they wanted to do it right, they would have started off their universe as Justice League War. That's it. And you would have had all your characters there, and then when you introduce them, Wonder Woman, then you can show Wonder Woman becoming Wonder Woman. You can tell her story, her first villain or whatever. Same thing with Flash. You could do it like that. You can tell all those stories afterwards. That way we could be like, all right, well, that makes sense as to why he was able to do this in this movie, because this is where he learned it. Wow, Superman, when he first learned how to fly, okay, I get why he took up him and went straight up into the air like that. It's like, I'm like, yo, it's not rocket science.
Versus a Wonder Woman's movie, where she's like, oh, I can make the plane invisible because I did this one trick one time that that I can just do now all of a sudden. Like, exactly, that's exactly my point. You at that point you wouldn't have needed flashbacks. You wouldn't have needed a flashback. Yeah. So
listen, I don't think they care. I don't think they too much care. I just think they're just doing this. They're doing this movie because the fans have been asking for it for a long time. We're finally out of the COVID era to an extent where movies can be filmed. I don't know what this movie is going to be about. I don't understand the significance of these characters. I'm afraid that they're going to take the story of Flashpoint Paradox and just throw it into this and just add a bunch of names, and the fans are going to be like, oh, I recognize this name, I recognize that name, but it has no significance to the story.
No context, nothing.
Nothing.
We're gonna see Professor Zoom, and it's gonna be no context.
All right, Professor Zoom.
Yeah, and that's just that.
His face is shifted.
There.
It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we know
like,
this character, right. So yeah. But like your point, they're trying to move away from the Snyder. Like they're trying to move away from the Snyderverse, but also that means they're gonna move away from the tone. And I think the tone that Snyder, even though I didn't like some things that he did, the tone was, I think, the perfect direction for it. But now they want to move away from that too. So who knows what this is going to be? This is just...
Zack Snyder's tone was right, but he wasn't the right storyteller to tell that story. Use his tone, but get a better storyteller, and I think they had something special. But at this point, I'm pretty much over. I'm pretty much over whatever DC has to show. Their content is makes no sense to me. And now they're just trying to say, oh, multiverse, everything is a multiverse now. Man, shut up. No.
Yeah, right.
y'all could have said that before. Don't do it now.
Don't do it now, man. No, you don't get that. And the worst part of it is always when you see the slate that they had from like years ago and all the movies that they said was going to do that. Like 3 of them out of 15, 3 of them they kind of did. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, basically, yeah. Shut up, guys. It's like just
shut up.
Let this be your last movie. Destroy the universe and just start over.
Yeah, go away. Like go away. Don't tell me you're gonna do his Flash movie and then right next to it you're gonna have a new Batman movie. Like into multiverse. Shut up. Cut it out.
And you're gonna bring another Batman back here. Like, what are you guys?
It's so stupid. Anyways. All right, we're throwing out the content of that sandwich that we don't like. All right, let's finish off strong. Loki has been shaping up to be a very, very great series. The episodes have been kind of shattering the norms that we know and that we appreciate from the Marvel universe. The last 2 episodes of Loki I thought were very instrumental because the first episode really destroyed everything that we thought of when it came to the powers of the universe and the fact that now the Infinity Stones are very pointless and useless in this universe, in the TVA. Now that we found out the variant Sylvie is a variant of Loki, the female Loki. So she's technically she's a female. Well, technically she's like a variant of the Enchantress. She's a variant of the Enchantress, technically from the comics. But we see her character, and then we see them run through this portal. Now, I thought the last episode, I didn't quite like the last episode of Loki, and the reason why is because it was moving too slow for me, and it was just them two, kind of just talking, and it was like filling in information about Loki. I really wasn't wondering about. I didn't care whether or not he had a prince or a princess. I wasn't really interested in his preference. It really didn't. It really didn't seem important to me for his character. For Thor, yeah, I can see that because Thor is he's a prince. He's going to be a king. He should have a queen by his side. I get that. And Loki didn't really come off as anything to me. Like that. So I didn't really. I mean, I understand why they took the time to kind of do that, but it didn't really mean much to me. It wasn't until maybe the last 15 minutes of the episode that I was really into it and what was going on, and even the ending was shocking to me because usually if there's some type of major explosion and everything like that, and they're trying to race to get off the planet, and then they're able to get off the planet, and then the planet blows up and they're safe. Now we're looking at it as like, oh wait, they're still on the planet. The planet's about to destroy.
The last thing that could save the planet is destroyed. Or save people from the planet.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting way of leaving the episode. Because now I'm like, what's I mean, they're not gonna die, obviously, but how do they get off the planet? The TVA
Yeah,
coming to save them. What happens? So now I'm
true.
interested. What did you think of the episode?
Uh, so yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, to your points, I think, yeah, it was kind of slow. I do think it was informative, like you said. It was information, like you said, information not needed. But I think a lot of it kind of humanized him a little bit,
Okay.
and it kind of made him, which at times I kind of liked, but at times I'm like, are they moving away from his ideology of seeing himself as a god or whatever? Like, is he moving away from that now? Um, I do think this episode put a lot of more speculations into what's going on currently. For example, we saw Loki fix that building back to normal. Loki can't. I don't know if Loki could do that. So did he take a time stone from the drawer? You know what I'm saying? Was he using a time stone when he did that? So I'm like,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
interesting. And the way the camera was pointed, the camera didn't show his hands. The camera only showed like his like from his elbow up, pretty much.
But
So when he fixed the building.
to be fair,
So
just to jump in real quick, to be fair, when Loki got mad when Frigga died in Thor 2, and he got up and he stood up and he kind of just tensed up like this and everything kind of moved out the way.
mhm,
Like they showed that portion of his power, and even when he was in front of the TVA, he did the same thing. Like he clenched his fist and he tried to do this, but nothing
mhm,
happened. So
yeah.
I don't know if that could be the full extent of his power. Then again, to your point, it could have been the time stone that he used to just. But he would have to learn how to use the time stone. But anyway, go
Not
ahead.
necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, he's a magician. He's a magician. He knows magic. So
Oh yeah,
and like
yeah,
when
that's true. That's true.
and when she told him, because in the second episode where she was telling him how she controlled people's minds and stuff like that, it's almost like Loki's like, okay, he made a mental note of it. He's like, all right, I'm gonna try that later, because there's nothing to say that he won't be able to do that later, or he can't do that, or he can't learn it pretty quickly.
I
You know what I
always thought
mean?
he. I
So
always thought he knew that when he did with
well,
Selvig. He's like,
but
well,
yeah,
I
but that
guess
was
that's worth
from
the look.
but that was with the Mind Stone though, you know.
Okay,
So
okay, yeah.
so now he knows how to do it without the Mind Stone, possibly through her giving him that piece of knowledge. So
Mm,
that might be something that we might see him do later. Also, too, there's another point I had. Also, too, when he showed her the temp pad where it was destroyed, if you noticed, right before he showed her, his green energy surged through it. So I think he lied. I think he wants to spend more time with her for whatever Loki wants to do. But I think he lied to her, because if you notice, he didn't show it. It was like that. You got to watch that scene again. You'll see the green stripe as if he reconfigured it to appear as if it was broken. You know what I mean? He's a
that's
trickster.
a good
He
catch.
hides things.
That's a
He
good
hides
catch.
things. Yeah, and I caught that. And he hides things. He's a good trickster. So, um, who is to say that it is really broken? You know what I mean? Maybe he's trying to buy more time with her to learn more information about himself, or other areas about himself,
I
or
guess.
about the agency.
Yeah.
Because the new information we learn about the agency is that everyone's a variant. So the agency is partly full of it. If they're telling Loki that everyone was created by the timekeepers, are there timekeepers? You know what I'm saying? Is this just some BS thing that's just you know what I mean?
So
I
so
don't
you
so
you said this in our chat, and I've been thinking about it ever since you mentioned it. Um, that Owen Wilson's character is
Mobius, yeah.
Loki, is the actual Loki, and
Hmm.
he just has variants that are just out of control. You know, more and more, I'm leaning towards that, because I think what Loki is doing, the show Loki is shattering all of the norms that we have come to realize and kind of appreciate in the Marvel universe. First with the stones, kind of dashing away those stones as if to say, hey, they were really nothing. And then speaking about how, certain things that happened were allowed to happen because of the timekeepers. You know,
I think that's BS too.
you think that's
But
BS
yeah, but
too?
go ahead. I think that's BS
Okay,
too.
okay.
But go ahead.
And
Yeah.
then when you saw the bomb of in the different reactions, the different things, every time I see that, I'm always going back to Endgame when the ancient
Mm,
one was telling that story. You take one of the stones out, you create a rift. I think with all those variants going on,
Mm.
it's the same thing is happening. Those stones are being taken out because they said because even the guy said, "Hey, we get these stones all the time." You know, how do
Mm.
they get these stones all the time? Why are there so many versions of the stones? You know, if you keep
Yeah.
taking them out, you're going to just continue to make these different branches in history, and before you
Yeah.
know it, it's just like a braid, right? A braid is interwoven into each other. You start taking out pieces of
Mm.
that braid, it starts to untangle, and then it gets to the point where you can't even put that braid back together. So
Yeah.
that's where I am when it comes to where I think they're going with the story, and I think that's going to be the main focus for the next few films going forward. Them
Mm.
trying to fix the multiverse or fix the sacred timeline. But you're saying that you don't believe that you think that what's going on with the timekeepers is BS. What do you mean?
I think that the timekeepers is I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to find some new entity or new power or whatever source, because if you think about it, right? All right, so the stones, they don't matter to the TVA, you know?
Right.
But I'm wondering, by you saying that, are the stones duplicate stones from other parallel universes, I guess? Because wouldn't those stones have to be put back in place in order for there not to be that much branches, whatever the case may be? So I'm
Right.
thinking maybe the TVA could be ran by somebody who wants a Nexus event. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so they're not trying to maintain a thicker timeline. They're trying to branch it out. They're trying to create that Nexus event.
Hmm.
So because I don't know, I think some of it don't make any sense. Like especially a lot of people were pointing out. So what the Avengers did was okay, but what you did wasn't. And then she says, like, "Oh, well, it was supposed to happen. What was supposed to happen? So what's the problem? That means I was supposed to end up doing this. How am I? How is him going away not supposed to happen? He didn't go to a different universe or a different timeline. He just went to a different location. So it's kind of so which they could have got back the stone. They could have went back in time and put it back.
Hmm.
So that's
But,
BS. I
but
mean,
I think it's because of that, because it's Loki and he's a variant. I think it's because of what you said before that that Loki is actually one of the is Mobius. I think that's why, and I think for a long time it was like, all right, well, this Loki is supposed to follow his storyline, and he's supposed to die at the hands of Thanos, and that's the end of his road. But
mm,
that Loki took the stone and went off of that path. So now by him going off that path, you don't have that case, you don't have the situation in Asgard. You don't have him with Thor during Thor 2. You
mm,
don't have him in Ragnarok. You don't even have him to give back the same tesseract that he held. Because if
mm,
you think like if you think about it, if you deeply think about it, Thanos. I'm
mm,
not sorry. Loki took the Tesseract from Asgard as it was destroying. So he had it in his possession because when he gave it
yeah,
to Thanos, he had it. So he didn't
yeah,
go anywhere. He didn't disappear with it. He
mm,
had it with him. So I think when he took it at that present time, he wasn't supposed to take it at that time because by him
mm,
taking it, it caused all these different effects that led to Thanos not being able to complete his mission. And I think Thanos was supposed to complete his mission by wiping out half of the universe. I think that was
yeah,
supposed to happen, and they wanted that to happen, and they wanted the heroes to go back in time and everything. But you can't. But they couldn't. They can't fix that 5 year period. So during those 5 years, whatever happened in those 5 years had to happen in order for them to get
mm,
to that point where they were able to go back and fix everything and all that stuff. But even still, I don't think they fixed anything. I just thought they brought back everybody, but I don't think they fixed anything in the universe.
mm,
So it's a lot.
yeah.
When you think about it, when you break it down,
Yeah,
it is a
it's a
lot.
lot. Yeah, but one thing we know, the TVA, they're a little shady. They're telling Loki one story and then they have another story going on and they're taking people and making them variants. So are they brainwashing people? They don't sound like people are signing up to be variants. And these people all have little memories, like what the guy says, he doesn't know what a fish is. Like, how you not know what a fish is? I mean, was he taken at a really, really early age? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
You know what it
So,
remind you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of WandaVision.
hmm,
How everybody was in the town and they were just walking around doing their thing. And
yeah.
even that one guy when he was talking to Vision and he was talking to him and he's like, and then Vision touches his temples, and he's like, "Please help us! Stop! Please save us! And then he does it again, like, zzz.
Yeah.
So, and he just changes up like
Yeah.
that. Like that's what, yeah, that's what I keep thinking of that. Like, yo, this is Marvel is so good because they've continued this kind of theme of mind
Yeah.
control and what's reality, what is a reality, what's real, what's not real. Captain America Winter Soldier, that was like the one series that was like, all right, we ain't talking about none of that stuff. Listen, we just trying to figure out how we're gonna maneuver in this world that we're living in now. But
Yeah.
WandaVision and Loki, those two series have really stretched the boundaries when it comes to what they're trying to pull off in the universe. And I'm excited. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see um, how we're gonna see. When this is all going to start taking place. I know it's not going to happen during Shang-Chi or Black Widow. So it's definitely going to start. It has to start with Spider-Man because that's the last movie that we get this year. So
Yeah.
and I think Loki is the last TV series that we get this year. If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
And then last
Yeah.
season.
So once
Yeah.
again,
So we'll see.
Marvel leaving us with like blue balls, man. It's like
Yeah. Right.
we want more, but we can't get it.
We
So
get it. Yeah. So
we're
we'll
going
see
to,
what happens episode 4. I mean,
yeah,
a
looking forward to
lot of
it.
speculations, but
I hope I can't wait to see what happens. I don't know. I don't even want to speculate anymore. I have no idea where they're going with this, and that's the fun part. Um, but yeah, I mean Marvel keeps doing their thing. I mean they can't they don't seem like they're slowing down or they're getting tired or they're getting redundant. It's like they're
yeah.
constantly shaping and changing their characters to where they're not even the same character they were when they first came. And
Yeah.
man, it's like, man, Marvel knows what they're doing, man. At the end of the day, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No.
they make
No.
that
Dude, yeah.
very obvious. And I hope everybody else can just kind of say, hey, man, if we can't get it together, let's just step aside and let's just stick to animated movies. I mean, that's your bread and butter. You guys are killing it there.
Yeah.
So
You're
just
killing it.
stick to it
That
there.
and video games.
Who really plays video games like that? Well, I mean, yeah, there's people
A
still
lot of
play.
people do. Yeah. Especially
Yeah,
Batman Arkham series. But
that's just tiring. It's the
I
same
know
game.
that now. I think now they're coming out with another one with just the Bat family, like Red Hood, Robin, Batgirl.
Didn't they do that
Like,
with like a robotic like Red Hood or something like that? It
oh
was
well,
like
no,
a
that was it,
blue.
kind of, sort of, but that was you talking about Arkham Knight, but that was I think Jason Todd or something like that. So
Ain't they all
I know.
called Arkham Knight? Like
No,
or
it
Arkham
was the
Knight,
Arkham series. It's the Arkham series, but
Arkham series. Okay,
I,
okay.
yeah, and I mean the games are fabulous, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's more characters, guys. I mean, can you imagine a good Green Lantern game or even a Wonder Woman game? There's way more characters you guys can focus on, but
Nope. More
they
Batman.
just won't do it. More
Nope.
Batman.
More Batman. It's fun,
Yeah.
and it's interesting too. The new Batman movie, the Matt Reeves Batman movie, was supposed to come out last week.
Seriously?
Yep. But because of COVID
Oh,
delays, comes out next year.
damn. Yeah, not meant to be.
All right. I mean, who
Yeah.
cares? But whatever.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, on
bro,
that
man.
note,
On
yeah,
that
man.
note, thank you so much for coming through, chopping it up with me. Man, we've been missing our two other co-hosts. They've been dealing with some family stuff, graduations and movements
Birthdays,
and all that
yeah.
stuff, birthdays, all that stuff. But hopefully next week we can get everybody together and we can really chop it up again and break down some more of Loki and let's see what other new stuff that either DC or Marvel drops for us this week. Where can people find you, bro?
Deceptively Awesome. That's Instagram. You can find me on. So
Awesome. And you can find me, Sam's Brego. You can find both of us, Brothers Who Brick, for our Lego stuff. Yeah, man. So appreciate you stopping by. Thank you, everybody who is watching live. If you're watching the rebroadcast, appreciate you. Please go in and hit that subscribe button, smash that like button for us. This is just our podcast, but we're hoping to ramp up some more content for you guys and just share our perspective in the world of comic books. All right. So take care, everybody. Thank you, bro. I'll talk to you soon. Until next time. Peace. boom, boom, boom.